Diamond P Sports presents championship drag racing from the National Hot Rod Association, the Springnationals. Brought to you by Fram, makers of oil, air, and fuel filters, windshield wipers, and Autolite spark plugs and tune-up kits. And by Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, brewers of world-renowned Budweiser. When do you say Budweiser? And by Cam 2 Motor Oil. You know it's tough, and you love it. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and this is National Trail Raceway near Columbus, Ohio. This 13th annual NHRA Spring Nationals has attracted over 600 race cars from throughout the United States and Canada. Today, we'll be taking a look at the broad cross-section of drag racing that makes up NHRA championship racing. Also today, we'll take a look at a champion that's been down on his luck, and explore the reasons why. Joining me here today at National Trail in the Spring Nationals is one of drag racing's best-known personalities, Steve Evans.
David, it's great to be back in the lush green countryside of central Ohio. Today's action is going to include the Pro Comp category. It's the newest in the NHRA lineup, the only one of the Sportsman categories that races on a heads-up basis. Tremendously popular with the racers and the fans because of the variety, all heads up. Here you see a dragster, a front engine machine. There's no supercharger, so it's allowed to use the potent nitromethane fuel. Only without a supercharger or a blower can you use nitro in Pro Comp. Moving along to a supercharged dragster, the class officially called AA alcohol dragster. The racers like to call them AA bads. It's a supercharged motor, but limited to straight alcohol in the fuel tank, no nitro. They use an extra gear in the transmission to make up for the lack of raw horsepower without the nitromethane. This same type of motor, as we see in the AA Bad Dragster, also in this funny car. Virtually identical, same transmission setup, alcohol again in the tank, but the funny car is allowed to weigh a little less. And the fans really love it when the alcohol dragsters and the alcohol funny cars meet each other on the starting line, heads up in Pro Comp. Let's meet some of the guys that drive these cars.
Dale Armstrong, Torrance, California.
Always the man to beat. Has won the category in every class imaginable. Two-time U.S. Nationals champion, 76 world champion.
I'm Tom Ridings from Long Beach, California.
A 22-year-old student, Ridings is a protege of Dale Armstrong. Only racing a year and a half, qualifying number one is the achievement of his career.
Don Gerardo, Monroeville, Indiana.
1974 produced a competition eliminator U.S. Nationals title for Gerardo. He stepped up in 75 to the World Championship in Pro Comp.
My name's Simon Menzies, and I'm from Torrance, California.
Simon began his career as a car owner for Dale Armstrong, later took to the cockpit, and with this brand new Corvette is looking for his first national title. We'll see those drivers and more in action when we come back.
Let's kick off the action of this 13th annual NHRA Spring Nationals with the first round of Pro Comp Eliminator. The first pair of cars we see, that classic struggle between funny car and dragster, both of them utilizing methanol for fuel, supercharged engines. It's Joe Amato in the funny car from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, and Dale Armstrong from Torrance, California. Leaving the line together, Armstrong beginning to pull a bit of a lead. And crowd favorite Dale Armstrong taking a big win in the first round. The time for Dale Armstrong, 6.87 seconds. As we watch in slow motion, you see Joe Amato starting to drift around on the track. That causing just enough of a delay in his time to allow Dale Armstrong to pull about a 1 to 2 car length lead at the finish and take the win at a speed of over 202 miles an hour. Joe Amato holding top speed of the meet at over 209 in qualifying, going out in the first round to Dale Armstrong. Another matchup of dragster versus funny car. Here's the low qualifier, Tom Ridings. He's from Long Beach, California, from Granby, Connecticut, with the front engine dragster. One of the few in competition today is Dale Hall. A great start for Dale Hall, and this is a close race. And Dale Hall takes the win, upsetting the low qualifier. Hall with his small block Chevrolet-powered front-engine alcohol-burning dragster. You see it right there, just a bit of a head start at the starting line, and that's enough to give him the win. The times for Dale Hall, 6.91 seconds elapsed time. Here at the finish line, you'll see what difference it makes. As they come to the finish line, Dale Hall just a wheel length ahead. Tom Ridings, a quicker time at 6.83 seconds. Hall getting out of his fire suit, awaiting the word from his crew to determine who won the race. Dale Hall from Granby, Connecticut. The next pair of cars, the world champion from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Brent Bramley in the dragster, Simon Menzies in the Corvette funny car. Horsepower of Simon Menzies pulling out the win, 6.83 seconds, his speed 198 miles an hour. You see he had Brent Bramley, the world champion, defeated by a little over a car length at the finish line. In this pair, two funny cars, Williams and Bowl, J. Marlis Williams from Chelsea, Michigan, against London, Ontario, Canada's Frank Hawley and the Hawley family. Side by side, two of the finest funny cars in Pro Comp streak to the finish line. And it is Frank Hawley, the Canadian, 6.84 seconds, 200 miles an hour. He had a big lead over J. Marlis Williams at the finish line. The only altered in competition in Pro Comp Eliminator here at the Spring Nationals, driven by Ron Boggs, hometown boy from Columbus, Ohio. His competition, Don Woosley from Winchester, Kentucky. Woosley, a former Sports Nationals champion. Boggs aiming for his first national event title with that short wheelbase roadster, and really a crowd favorite here at the Spring Nationals. Boggs with a big victory in round number one, 6.73 second elapsed time. That's the low ET of the first round of eliminations, and you can see him just pulling away from Don Woosley. Boggs recording 201 miles an hour at the finish line. Dennis Forcelli from Minneapolis, Minnesota, driving his AA dragster on alcohol against the funny car, Dick Titsworth from Sylvania, Ohio, also supercharged, running methanol for fuel. Both cars inching into the staging beams, getting ready for that head start. Side by side, they leave the line together. And at the finish line, a tremendous race as Dick Titsworth takes the win, 6.82 seconds to a losing 6.89 seconds for Forcelli. Here you can see in stop action how close it was, just a few inches separating the two cars as Dick Titsworth advances into round two. This is Terry Yates from Rochester, Indiana, doing his burnout. All these cars in competition doing burnouts. He's matched against the funny car of Don Gerardo out of Monroeville, Indiana. In slow motion, we'll watch the alcohol-burning dragster do the burnout. You can see the tires grow in height as the centrifugal force spins them out and the smoke coming off them as the rubber begins to burn and get hot, providing the traction necessary to put these cars through a quarter mile at over 200 miles an hour. Yates and Gerardo side by side at mid-course. Gerardo pulling out the win at the finish line, 6.80 seconds elapsed time. His speed a whopping 206 miles an hour for Don Gerardo of Monroeville, Indiana. The final pair in round number one, Butch Osmond out of Leavittsburg, Ohio, is matched against Robert Gottschalk from Toledo, Ohio. Here you can see both drivers pulling their mounts into the staging beams. The tree will go green, they'll leave the line together. Let's watch. At the finish line, Butch Osmond from Leavittsburg, Ohio, taking the win, 6.89 seconds. His speed, 197 miles an hour. And Robert Gottschalk trailing by about 2 car lengths. In slow motion, you can see how close the racing is as they leave the starting line together. And actually, most of the race is not decided until past the midway point here at the Spring Nationals. Electronics plays a big part in all of drag racing. From the electronic ignition systems used on many of the cars in competition here at the Spring Nationals to the Christmas tree that every driver sees on every run. Steve Evans, tell us about it.
Thank you, Dave. As every drag racer approaches the starting line, he's greeted by this incredible maze of lights and wires and relays known as the Christmas tree starting system. As his front wheels approach the starting line, the Christmas tree accomplishes its first function, that is the pre-stage, to tell the driver that he's within inches of the starting line. As he creeps forward, then the stage light comes on. He locks the brakes up right there and waits for the start. For the heads-up eliminators of Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and even Pro Comp, it's pretty simple. There's a flash of this yellow light, 0.4 of a second later, green. Should the driver try to anticipate the light, leave too soon, then it's a foul start and automatic disqualification. For the handicap sportsman eliminators, well, it gets a little more complicated. So that many different types of cars can be combined into one eliminator, NHRA has devised what they call an index system, where every handicap sportsman class is assigned an elapsed time index, the standard for the class nationally. Let's just say in competition eliminator. In this lane, we have an A dragster, an A-class dragster, the index being 7.65 seconds. In this lane, a C-class dragster, the index here being 8.45 seconds. In the timing tower, those elapsed time index are dialed into the computer system. It does the mathematics. The starter activates the tree, and down it comes on a staggered start. The slower of the two cars, in this case the C dragster, leaves first. It's then up to the A dragster to play the catch-up game that is so exciting with the fans. We'll be back to see some of that handicap racing right after this message.
A broad cross-section of race cars make up Competition Eliminator. Steve has one of those cars right now.
Competition Eliminator is the fastest of all the handicap sportsman categories. You'll be seeing dragsters only on gasoline and non-supercharged, the new Econo funny cars and dragsters, and maybe even a neat little altered roadster like this one. Competition Eliminator. Let's meet some of the guys that drive these cars.
I'm Dennis Ferrara from Comac, New York.
Dennis rolled into Gainesville, Florida in March and won the Gator Nationals. Then it was Bowling Green. He won the Sports Nationals. His third national event could be this weekend here.
Wayne Clapp, New Orleans, Louisiana.
The only comp driver to make his living racing. He was the world champ in '76 and has already won the Cajun Nationals this year.
I'm Don Carlton. I have a Lenore address in North Carolina. I live in Hudson, North Carolina.
With 6 national titles already under his belt, including last year's U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis, professional test driver Don Carlton may be the man to beat.
My name's Kenny Van Streeter, and I'm from Defiance, Ohio.
Kenny Van Streeter is one of the toughest guys in the tough B Econo dragster class. He proved that with a runner-up finish at the Gator Nationals this year. We've talked about the cars. Now we've seen some of the drivers. Let's ride with them as Competition Eliminator gets underway.
Picking up action in the quarterfinal round of Competition Eliminator, it's one of those dragster versus full-bodied cars that has become so popular in handicap-style racing in Competition Eliminator. John Ligenfelder with a Chevy Monza against Kenny Van Streeter, and a red light for Ligenfelder gives the win automatically to Van Streeter. Ligenfelder's Econo Altered records a 9.82 seconds, while Van Streeter's Econo Dragster, 8.27 seconds. His speed, 166 miles an hour. Car powered by a Chevrolet engine, utilizing one 4-barrel carburetor and an automatic transmission. In slow motion, you see John Ligenfelter red-lighting away his chance to extend his lead in the Grace Performance Cup Series, that $40,000 season-end bonus fund presented by the W.R. Grace Company. The six-cylinder roadster of Joe Williamson from Louisville, Kentucky. Williamson, a 33-year-old pipe fitter during the week, a drag racer on the weekend, against a full-time racer, Wayne Clapp from New Orleans, Louisiana. Clapp's car, a B dragster utilizing a Ford engine. Well, that's a Ford six-cylinder for Joe Williamson. Here's Joe watching the lights. Williamson off with a head start. Can he hold off the dragster? A crowd favorite, that six-cylinder roadster of Joe Williamson records an 8.87 second elapsed time. His speed 149 miles an hour as he defeated Wayne Clapp by about 2 car lengths at the finish line. Here in slow motion, you can see Clapp and the dragster trying to come from behind, but not enough horsepower. 8 seconds flat at 170 miles an hour, the losing time for Wayne Clapp. Joe Williamson advancing into the next round of competition eliminator. Don Carlton, a stretched wheelbase Dodge Colt, running as a B altered. The competition, a Chevy Camaro. This the car of Dennis Ferrara from Comic, New York. It is a B Econo altered, utilizing 1 4-barrel carburetor on the Chevy engine, 2 big 4 barrels on the Dodge Hemi for Don Carlton. A close race. Let's see if Carlton can come from behind. And he does it, just pulling it out at the finish line. Don Carlton, 8.46 seconds. His speed, 158 miles an hour. And that's a gasoline-burning, full-fendered car, the B-altered Dodge Colt of Don Carlton. In slow motion, you can see Carlton just ever so slightly starting to pull up on Dennis Ferrara. As they enter the speed traps, they're about even, and just about a wheel length lead for Don Carlton at the finish. Dennis Ferrara's losing time, a 9:59 at 141 miles an hour. This will be a heads-up start. 2 C Econo dragsters. Jim Jones from Indianapolis, Indiana. The front engine car is Jim Head. Both cars utilizing small block Chevrolet engines, very similar in engine design, different though in chassis design. The rear engine car seen here is Jim Jones out of Indianapolis. And a red light start for Jim Head, a tough break for the Sunbury, Ohio-based driver, as his head start paid off at the finish line, but he had lost the race at the starting line. At 145 miles per hour. We'll take a look again, and you can see Jim Head leaving the starting line first and getting the red light. A good leave for Jim Jones, a red light for Head. With a history dating back 25 years to the very start of organized drag racing, Modified Eliminator presents some of the best action on any drag strip. Steve takes a look at some of the cars.
In the exciting world of NHRA sportsman racing, the Modified Eliminator category is just that. Highly modified street-type cars, 31 classes in all. They race on the handicap system based on the national class standard. It makes for rugged competition. This beautiful late model muscle car is typical of the types of machinery found in the upper gas classes. You're allowed to use any motor in any type body. You'll see Ford engines in Chevrolets and vice versa. While this Corvette and other street-type hot rods from the late 50s, early middle 60s are in modified production classes. They must use the original type engine in the stock location, but they can modify it without limitation. Modified Eliminator can get downright exotic. Witness the 76 Porsche Carrera. Hard to believe that a 4-cylinder Volkswagen engine will push it to speeds over 120 miles an hour in 11 seconds. Now that we've seen some of the Modified Eliminator cars, let's meet some of the drivers.
My name's Jerry Alt. I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
Today's heavily partisan Ohio crowd feels that Jerry Alt's runner-up finish at the U.S. Nationals in '76 is a barometer of things to come.
Sam Janino, Royal Oak, Michigan.
It's been a long, dry spell for Sam since the '68 Indy Nationals. 21 NHRA national records, and still not another major event victory.
My name's Larry Nelson. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
A runner-up finish at this year's Sports Nationals was the first bright spot since '72 when Larry won the Summer Nationals and was runner-up at the World Finals.
Thank you, Steve. Picking up the action in the quarterfinals of Modified Eliminator. The big block Chevy Camaro of Richard Oakes, all the way from Runnymede, New Jersey, has the dubious distinction of facing the defending champion in Modified Eliminator here at the Spring Nationals, Wally Jacobson from Elk Grove, Illinois. Jacobson driving the small 71 Chevy Vega up against his 438 cubic inch big block Chevy Camaro, Richard Oakes, against Wally Jacobson. Again, still in handicap eliminator racing. One car physically getting the head start over the second. Let's watch. Wally Jacobson with the head start. And something going away in Richard Oakes' car, either missing a gear or a drivetrain component breaking. And Wally Jacobson wins another round, 9.79 seconds. His speed, 139 miles an hour. The exotic modified compact of Buddy Ingersoll. Ingersoll's Pinto, powered by a turbocharged engine. His competition from Minerva, Ohio, is Mike McGrew. McGrew's 73 Camaro has a small block Chevrolet, 278 cubic inches, highly stressed, high horsepower, high winding engines in this modified eliminator category. McGrew red-lighting away his chance to the modified eliminator favorite, Buddy Ingersoll. McGrew continues through, but he's done for the day. A tough break as he left the starting line too early, and as Steve pointed out to you, when you get the red light, you'll lose automatically. Buddy Ingersoll, your winner, just coasting it through at 83 miles an hour. Two Chevrolet Monzas. This is Sam Giannino from Royal Oak, Michigan. His competition comes from Havertown, Pennsylvania, and it is Robert Thompson at the wheel of the second Monza on the starting line here at the Spring Nationals. These are two gas coupe sedan cars. Giannino is the higher class, so Robert Thompson will get ever so slightly a head start over Sam Giannino. Thompson got the head start, but it was too much as he also with a red light, putting Giannino into the next round. These cars with a lot of weight on the rear axles and the big tires pulling the front wheels off the ground practically on every shift as they head down the quarter mile. Here's the start once again as Thompson in the far lane, red lighting away his chance to Sam Giannino. Giannino the winner at over 151 miles an hour. Paul McCure driving the Chevy Corvette, making a bye run at 1491. Every car in competition must make the same number of runs. Drag racing dating back to the late 1940s and early 50s has some competitors with over 20 years experience. Steve talks with one of them.
This turbocharged Ford Pinto is one of the most unusual and most popular cars in Modified Eliminator here at the Spring Nationals. It's driven, it was built by a 27-year veteran of the sport in the sportsman categories all those years, Ohio George Montgomery. George, when you look back to the early days, what really stands out in your mind?
Well, there's so many things over those years that it's hard to pick the highlights, but I'd say probably some of the highlights would be the wins at the Indy Nationals. I've won them there 4 times, and those got to be the highlights of my drag racing career.
George, if you think back to the early days of the sport and then you look around here at Columbus, Ohio, there's some real differences. What stands out in your mind about the early days?
Well, in the early days, I remember we had a flagman starter. You watched him. He was allowed 2 false starts. It was just very primitive parts of drag racing. Today, you have the Christmas tree where there is no false starts, there is no second time.
Did it ever occur to Ohio George Montgomery that he'd be a star in a big sport, an important sport back in those early days? Did you have any idea this had happened?
No, I didn't. I was just a part of the infancy of the sport, and And I guess I was just a small little part of it, and it just kind of growed around me, and I've growed with it.
What keeps you going? What keeps you enthused? You're still racing after all these years in all those cars?
It's been a good life to me. I've known nothing else. That's what I've done all my life. And still, the thing is, today it's very competitive and very costly. But I'd say it's been a good life to me. That's all I know.
As the drivers get ready for round number 2 in Pro Comp Eliminator, let's go down to trackside and Steve Evans.
Dave, it's interesting to note going into round 2 of Pro Comp that no particular type of car seems to have an advantage. We have 3 dragsters left, 4 funny cars, and the 1 AA altered remains in competition. Now that our number 1 qualifier was eliminated on the whole shot, that being Tom Ridings of California, the crowd seems to be going with the unusual AA altered of Ron Boggs, and he's the quickest car in the field now going into round 2.
And this is the AA altered of Ron Boggs from Columbus, Ohio. A Model T roadster body, highly modified, a Donovan engine, supercharged, running methanol for fuel, making up this handful known as a AA altered in Pro Comp Eliminator here at the Spring Nationals. Boggs' competition comes from London, Ontario, Canada, the Double B funny car of Frank Hawley and the Hawley family. Here in slow motion, we can watch Ron Boggs as he has to drive this car to keep it straight as the rear tires are spinning, getting them hot, getting ready for his pass down the quarter mile. The funny car of Frank Hawley, powered by a 500 cubic inch engine, also supercharged, also burning methanol. The Keith Black racing engine in the funny car. A tremendous race. Hawley drifting close to the center. And at the finish line by inches, it's Ron Boggs in the altered, moving one more step closer to this championship here at the Spring Nationals. Boggs is elapsed time 6:88, and here you see in slow motion stop action, it is literally a matter of inches as electronically the winner picker says Ron Boggs there first. The next pair, funny car versus dragster, Dale Armstrong against Dick Titsworth, and a red light for Armstrong. Titsworth, the funny car, moves ahead in eliminations, 6.84 seconds, 202 miles an hour, and a dejected Dale Armstrong through for the day in competition in Pro Comp Eliminator. The old bugaboo of a red light left at the starting line. This is Dale Hall, the only front-engine dragster left in Pro Comp Eliminator, powered by a small block Chevrolet, also supercharged and running on alcohol. The competition, the rear-engine dragster of Butch Osmond. Hall there first, 6.88 seconds, his speed over 201 miles an hour. With a little Chevrolet engine in that front-engine dragster. A pair of Corvettes. Don Gerardo, former world champion from Monroeville, Indiana. Simon Menzies, hailing out of Torrance, California. The Corvette owned by Jim Jackson. Both cars leaving the line together. And something going wrong with Gerardo's car as Menzies takes the win, 6.93 seconds. His speed over 196 miles an hour. A champion in any sport, professional football, baseball, drag racing, he's a champion only as long as he outperforms his fellow competitors. One of drag racing's greatest champions, Gary Beck, two-time national champ, former world champion, has had his share of problems for what seems to be an eternity. Steve asked Gary, why the slump?
Well, in the constant quest to go quicker, you try and experiment using different engine, clutch, tire, gear ratio ideas. And in the meantime, while you're planning on going faster than 5.6, you forget how to go 5.6. So you got to kind of start all over. You got to go back to school again, and you got to teach yourself how to race again and cut back. It's The trouble we've had in the last few months is I can't put it on one thing. It's been numerous things, but it appears that it's slowly working its way back out.
People always ask, why doesn't he just go back to the same combination that, say, won this race in 74, ran 5 seconds, 2:47? Why don't you?
Well, it's awful hard to do that. From 74 to now, the tires are completely different. The tracks are better. We have concrete starting line this time. This is my third car from there. This car has better traction built into it. So we have to automatically build more horsepower. That's not that easy to do.
Gary, all of your many fans, especially, of course, the Canadians, and myself for that matter, after this race, we want to read somewhere, Beck is back. Is there a good chance of that?
Well, certainly, this car's always been a team effort, and everybody tries real hard, our sponsors, the crew people, slowly you keep working on it. You don't get discouraged. You keep plugging at the weak spots, and sooner or later it wins. We won a race a few weeks ago. We won a few rounds now. We're planning on coming back, that's for sure.
Did a tremendous job of driving. The car looked like I want to get away from you.
Well, it was all right. It was shaking a little bit, but it was going to be okay. You know, it was carried the wheels. It left extremely hard in the gate, and I could feel the engine just miss a beat, just as the lights was coming, and kaboom! It was a pretty loud explosion.
Just going to finish your weekend, you think?
No, we got one more bullet down in there. We'll bring her out.
Sacrifice another lamb.
No, we got another good engine. The engine hasn't been run for a long time. It's actually the engine we were qualified with at the Cajun Nationals, and so it'll be all right.
While Beck qualified on that run that produced the incredible engine explosion, the new engine he put in for first round of elimination did not perform up to standard. Paul Longnecker defeating Gary Beck in the first round. Another tough racing day for Gary Beck. In the finals of Pro Stock Eliminator, 50-year-old Dino Don Nicholson wheels the Ford Mustang II. His competition from Totowa, New Jersey, Frank Iaconio, the classic Ford versus Chevrolet battle, the Monza of Iaconio, the Mustang of Nicholson. Dino Don Nicholson in a close race, 8.78 seconds, 153 miles an hour. Funny Car, defending champion, Don the Snake Prudhomme from Granada Hills, matched against a fellow Granada Hills resident, Bob Pickett, driving Mickey Thompson's Oldsmobile Starfire. The 77 Plymouth Arrow of Don Prudhomme. A close race in the middle of the course. Pickett pulls it out in one of the biggest upsets of the day. Bob Pickett winning Funny Car Eliminator, 6.22 seconds, 231 miles an hour. The lady versus the Englishman, Clive Skilton, London, England's own, now living in Balboa, California. From Mount Clemens, Michigan, the defending champion, Shirley Muldowney. Muldowney and Skilton side by side in the middle of the course. Muldowney by less than a car length, winning her second straight Spring Nationals title. Shirley Muldowney, Top Fuel champion at the Spring Nationals.
In the drag racing is the most innovative of all motorsports. The Best Engineered Award presented at these NHRA national events is really a treasured thing for the racers. There's over 600 cars in this incredibly huge pit area. The choice is a most difficult one. Any category of car is eligible, certainly, for the Best Engineered Award. It's based more on caliber of craftsmanship and innovation, as we discussed. The people at Fram have selected for the Best Engineered Award at this 13th Annual Spring Nationals the 77 Plymouth Arrow of Butch Leal, the California Flash, as he calls himself, from Northridge, California.
We've seen the upsets in Pro Comp Eliminator. Here we are at the semifinals, and we have Dale Hall, the man with the small block Chevrolet front engine dragster, matched up against the Funny Car of Dick Titsworth. On the other side of the bracket, Simon Menzies driving Jim Jackson's Funny Car against the altered of Ron Boggs. Pro Comp racing designed to allow different types of cars and engine combinations to compete heads up against one another, and it's depicted no better than it has been here at the Spring Nationals. 39-year-old Dick Titsworth, a machinist by trade during the week, drag racer on the weekend, against Dale Hall. Hall driving the front-engine Chevy dragster. A great race at the finish as Dale Hall pulls it out in the last few feet. The crew heading down to get the car, head back to the pits, get it ready for the finals. Dale Hall from Granby, Connecticut, making it into the finals in Pro Comp Eliminator. You see right here he begins to deviate from the straight and true path down the quarter mile, but gets it back under control and pulls the win out in just the last few feet. The crowd favorite in the far lane has got to be that 1923 Model T Roadster-bodied altered car. Ron Boggs driving it. His competition is Jim Jackson's Corvette. Simon Menzies, drifting close to the center line, has to back out of it. Ron Boggs on an easy single moves in to face Dale Hall in the finals, a fine 6.79 second, 200-mile-an-hour run. Ready now for semi-final action in Competition Eliminator, a battle of the altereds. The stretched wheelbase Dodge of Don Carlton against that six-cylinder Roadster of Joe Williamson. In the other half of the bracket, it's a pair of Econorails, Jim Jones against Kenny Van Streeter. In Modified Eliminator, the crowd favorite, that little turbocharged Ford Pinto of Buddy Ingersoll, is up against the big Chevy Monza of Sam Giannino. Paul McCure driving that Chevy Corvette. He faces defending modified champ Wally Jacobson. 4 cars remaining in Modified Eliminator. Buddy Ingersoll, that's the Pinto with a turbocharged engine. Sam Giannino was to have given a big head start to Ingersoll, but could not wait, red-lighting away his chance to move into the finals. So Buddy Ingersoll, having been plagued with breakage with this car for practically an entire year, takes the win and moves into the finals. His competitor will come from this matchup. Defending champion Wally Jacobson in the Chevy Vega on the near side. Paul McCure driving David Searles' Corvette. Fayetteville, North Carolina, in the far lane of the racetrack. McCure out first. Wally Jacobson will have to catch up if he can. And he does not, as Paul McCure, 10.26 seconds elapsed time, his speed 132 miles an hour, moves into the finals to face the favorite, Buddy Ingersoll. In slow motion, you can see Wally Jacobson trying to make a move with the Chevy Vega, unable to do so as the head start of Paul McCure enough to carry him to the win. Don Carlton, another North Carolina entrant here at the Spring Nationals. The six-cylinder Roadster, this is Joe Williamson, pipe fitter from Louisville, Kentucky. Williamson out first. Carlton once again in the catch-up role. And catch-up he does by about a car length. Don Carlton in Competition Eliminator, 8.45 seconds. His speed, 157 miles an hour. Putting that Dodge Colt into the finals. You can see right here as they enter into the speed traps, Carlton pulling away to the lead and the victory over Joe Williamson. A pair of Econorails, Kenny Van Streeter in the B category, Jim Jones with a C Econorail, meaning he will get just a slight head start over Van Streeter. Leaving the line on the green light, Jim Jones has got the big lead at mid-track. Van Streeter unable to catch him. Jim Jones from Indianapolis into the finals, 9.05 seconds. His speed, 146 miles an hour. That one 4-barrel carburetor with an automatic transmission. That's one of the restrictions in Econorail racing. Jim Jones with well over a car length lead at the finish line. We'll be back with the finals here at the Spring Nationals in just a moment. There have been 2 other categories of competition here at the 13th Annual NHRA Spring Nationals. In Superstock, Bob Michael of Mainville, Ohio, made it to the finals for the first time in his drag racing career and came home the winner of this Spring Nationals championship. In Stock Eliminator, Kenneth Kuntz of Wheaton, Maryland, made it to the finals for the second time in his career, having previously won the 1974 NHRA Summer Nationals title. Now back to the track and the finals of Modified Eliminator. 35-year-old race car builder Paul McCure driving for David Searles. has his work cut out for him as he is pitted against the favorite Buddy Ingersoll from Ziegler, Illinois. And a red light for Paul McCure, giving the win automatically to Buddy Ingersoll. An interesting point, Buddy Ingersoll has had a red light against him in every round of competition today. He turned 10.76 seconds, that turbocharged 72 Pinto, going 123 miles an hour at the finish line. The Spring Nationals champion modified eliminator, Buddy Ingersoll. Jim Jones from Indianapolis, Indiana, driving the C Econo Dragster. Lenore, North Carolina's Don Carlton, the Dodge Colt. The head start will be going to Jim Jones. He's got a big lead by virtue of the handicap. Now, can Don Carlton catch him? Let's watch. And Carlton winning Spring Nationals title, 8.52 seconds. His speed, 139 miles an hour. In slow motion, you can see Jim Jones with a big head start, but here comes Carlton in that Hemi-powered Dodge Colt. Let's go down to Steve.
Don Carlton, competition eliminator champion, the 13th annual Spring Nationals. Feels good, right?
Very good.
How many national event victories does this make for you?
I think that's 7.
You've been plagued with breakage, unreliable equipment. Seems you got it all straightened out.
Well, I'm punishing it pretty hard, but it stayed together this time.
How close was the dragster to you?
I cut a real good light and caught him early.
You said you were going to push the light.
I pushed it.
Thank you, Don Carlton. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Dave, back to you.
The finals of Pro Comp Eliminator, a front-engine dragster, 34-year-old Dale Hall. He runs a machine shop during the week, is against the crowd favorite, and that's this 1923 Model T Roadster driven by Ron Boggs of Columbus, Ohio. Boggs, the hometown favorite. The car alone has made him the crowd favorite. Inching into the staging beams, let's watch. And it's wire to wire, Ron Boggs, the crowd just loving every second of it. Pro Comp Eliminator, 6.77 seconds, 202 miles an hour at the finish line. Dale Hall, a very respectable 6.86 seconds, 203 miles an hour. But right at the start and in the first half of the course, Ron Boggs pulls it out to take Pro Comp Eliminator at the Spring Nationals, his first ever national title. Steve?
You won one for the hometown fans and one for the altered contingent all over the country. It's going to cheer up every altered around to know they can be competitive.
Yeah, and for all the people that's helped me for the last 10 years.
What are you going to do with the money? You won a lot of money.
Put it in the car.
Your wife's going to be real happy.
I'm not married.
You're not married? Oh, well, you get a lot of nice things you can do with that money. Here comes your crew, and they are really happy. You got enough people, you think, on your crew?
Yeah, we kept picking them up as the race went on.
You got some pretty ladies. You must be a happy bachelor.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll let them congratulate you, and we'll do it one more time. Great job.
A very happy man, Ron Boggs. We'll be right back to the Spring Nationals. Another outstanding Spring Nationals championships. Steve Evans is down in the pits with some observations. Steve?
David, like yourself, I've had a tremendous day today. I don't know when I had more fun, but the most important thing is the standing room crowd here at National Trail Raceway had an absolute ball. Many of them still milling around in the pit area, getting an autograph, watching the cars being cleaned up and loaded up. Trend set, you bet. In sportsman categories, the racing was never better. The altered winning, that's only been done once before. The little small block Chevrolet getting into the final. These are things that we're going to see reflected all over the country at NHRA-sanctioned drag strips. Sportsman racing certainly has never been healthier than it was here at the 13th Annual Spring Nationals. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. You truly do run out of superlatives describing this Spring Nationals event. Let's take a look at Pro Comp. We featured that category. Last year's low qualifier would only have been the third alternate. He would not have even made the show this year. In professional categories, Shirley Muldowney making it 2 wins in a row, top fuel champion for the second year straight, defeating Englishman Clive Skilton. Bob Pickett's big upset win over Don Prudhomme in Funny Car, and 50-year-old Don Nicholson taking home yet another NHRA national title. Next stop on the Diamond P Sports Trail, the Summer Nationals from Englishtown, New Jersey. From beautiful Ohio, this is Dave McClellan saying so long for now. The NHRA Spring Nationals has been brought to you by Anheuser-Busch St. Louis, brewers of world-renowned Budweiser. When do you say Budweiser? And by Fram, makers of oil, air, and fuel filters, windshield wipers, and Autolite spark plugs and tune-up kits. And by English Leather toiletries for men. Ask for English Leather at fine toiletry counters everywhere. The executive producer of Diamond P Sports, Harvey Pallage. Our producer-director, John Mullen. This has been an NHRA presentation, a Diamond P Sports production.